I appreciate you just giving me the opportunity to allow me to interview you, man, because I understand that you're a busy man. You got a lot going on.
I appreciate it, brother, and I love to support young African Americans trying to do something positive. So keep me in the loop, in your development, and let's see if we can create a situation where we can work together.
Most definitely, and you come all the way from Dallas, Texas, right? Or Texas, like, is where you originally from?
I'm originally from Texas, but I've been here in St. Louis for almost 10 years now.
Okay, so you live here, is what you're saying, or are you just back and forth?
Well, I have offices and homes in several different cities.
What were some things that you was doing as a child, that led you on the path that you on now? Like, did you grow up playing sports or anything?
I used to play basketball. I played basketball in both high school and college. Obviously, I grew up in Texas, so
okay.
We also played football. Everybody plays football in Texas.
Right.
And, for me, the path to becoming a lawyer, I had older brothers and uncles and family members, cousins, that, I got into some trouble with the law back in the 80s and the early 90s. And I didn't really know what a lawyer was as a kid. But I knew that every time somebody got in trouble, all the family would have to get together and figure out how to get him a lawyer. So I figured this lawyer guy must be a pretty important guy, right? Because
right.
People have to get together and they want to meet with him and they want to bring him money. So I said, maybe one day I can be a lawyer. Problem was, in rural West Texas, where I grew up, there wasn't a whole lot of African American lawyers. Well, it was back then there was absolutely no African American lawyers.
Right.
But when I went to college, I started seeing that just because you were African American didn't mean you couldn't be whatever you wanted to be.
Right. Okay.
And I started realizing, hey, I can be a lawyer. That's kind of where it started. I graduated from college at Louisiana State University in Baton Rouge.
Okay.
So you graduate from college, then you go to law school. But I went to law school at the University of Houston.
Okay. Now, how many years do you have to be in law school?
Typically 3 years.
Okay. Okay, so I thought it was something around, I don't know why I was thinking 8 years or something like that.
Well, it takes about 4 years to graduate from college.
Okay.
So then you got 3 years in law school. So you're talking about seven years of education, right?
Okay, I see where it lines up at.
Yeah.
When should I hire like a personal injury lawyer,
As soon as you've been injured or as soon as a person's been injured. The reason for that is because everybody, the witnesses to any sort of accident and any sort of evidence that we need to go out and build your case is most readily available and when immediately after the accident, right? Witnesses have a tendency to move, forget what happened, but if we can get that case immediately afterwards, it's easier to contact those people, and their memories of what happened is more fresh. So the other part about that is, so you got the first part of it is I want to document the evidence that will help you as quickly as possible. And I want to get in touch with that business or that insurance company to make sure that we let them know that we're representing you so that they won't go to asking you questions and you say something that's not beneficial or harmful to your case. And we want to put them on notice that if they've done something wrong, we want to look at their records, look at their driving records, look at where they bought gas from, how long was that truck driver on the road that day, their maintenance records at a restaurant or any other type of business. All those things are relevant as to who was at fault for any sort of accident or injury.
How can we go about hiring the right defense attorney, co-accident attorney? How you know that you're picking the right person?
Well, I think you start with someone who understands you and your community, right? And you have to also, it's not just about understanding your community, but you want to look at somebody's track record. You want to look at the results they produce for other people. And whether you know them or not, you want to look at the results they produce for other people, because you don't want to be someone's first experiment, right? So you look
right.
you look for experience, you look for someone with the resources necessary to help you get the results that you need. And that resources there is not just money. Resources is knowledge. Resources are other employees, other lawyers that work with them and work for them, right? Yeah. So I'd look for experience, resources, and knowledge.
Earlier, you was just speaking on the fact that y'all, all of y'all had to get together to come up with money to get a lawyer. Like, was that like the earliest form of like GoFundMe and stuff like that?
Well, I guess that is the earliest form of GoFundMe. I think it's still a relevant form of GoFundMe now,
Right.
in the African American community. But obviously, those were criminal situations, right?
Oh, okay.
Where you have to pay a lawyer to get him to take your case or help your loved one.
Okay.
But now what I do as an accident injury lawyer, we don't charge people money up front. We only get paid if and when we win your case. So if somebody's injured in an automobile accident or an 18-wheeler accident, or really an accident with any sort of a commercial vehicle or any vehicle, they don't need to have money to hire a lawyer. They just need to contact us. I'm confident enough to wait until I win their case to even ask them for a dime.
Now you have won over 150 million in verdicts and settlements for your accident injury clients. How does it feel when you see that number, man? Pretty impressive.
Well, probably more than that by now.
Okay.
But it's impressive in the sense that I'm happy that I was able to help as many people as possible.
Right.
And that's really what it's about. Because businesses and corporations and insurance companies, they're really concerned about their bottom line. They're not concerned about how to really give somebody the justice and financial compensation that they deserve after they've been hurt by somebody who has insurance or by a business or things of that nature. So for me, it's really not about the money. It's really about helping people and helping people in the African American community.
What made you want to start your own law firm, Zach? You know what I'm saying? Because you started in Texas, obviously. So, and then what made you want to just branch out into different states?
Well, I'm also big on African American entrepreneurship. I never wanted to have a job. No, don't get me wrong, I've had jobs.
Okay.
But all my jobs were leading me towards African American entrepreneurship. And I just so happened to be selling legal services, but I would have been an African American entrepreneur at something. So for me, I want to be able to inspire other people that they can also have businesses, right? And I want to be able to hire other African Americans, because sometimes we don't always get the opportunity in law firms or in other professional endeavors because we're African American, and sometimes we'll just say some non-African American hiring directors sometimes will gloss over some of our resumes. So I wanted to be able to. I'm big on African American entrepreneurship because I believe that financial freedom is really ultimately the freedom that we're looking for and the respect we're looking for in this country. And I wanted to be able to provide jobs for other African Americans.
Now, I seen a statistic that said America lost over 80. I don't know if the number is accurate, but it was 80 million jobs back in, I want to say, August of this year.
The corona pandemic has been a challenge. Make no mistake about it. It's been a challenge for my business, and it's been a challenge for basically all small businesses. And I joke all the time. I say, if you've got a business and you made it through the corona pandemic, not that we're finished with the corona pandemic,
all right.
But if you did make it through the corona pandemic, you did something special.
What's some challenges that you've been having to overcome, running the business? Like, have you dealt with employees, like, just not coming to work, leaving, stuff like that? Or
well, we do have some. I did, especially early in the pandemic, had some employees that felt uncomfortable coming to work, and we did the best we could to accommodate them. In the sense, we had some people working from home. We had some. We limited the number of people that were in the office so that there'd be more space and more social distancing. But the biggest challenge for me is that there's not that much during early in the pandemic. There just wasn't that much going on the roads and in the community. So that slows down everything. I always hated to lay people off. I still get emotional about it. But make no mistake, I did. I had to lay some people off early in the pandemic. Did my best to bring them back as quickly as I could. But that's the hard part of running a business.
Now, we basically about to be 2 years with this coronavirus pandemic. How are things going for you now?
Well, it's starting to pick up. Make no mistake about it. We, as a business owner, we have to learn how to be prepared for adversity. And that's one of the things that when I talk to other African American entrepreneurs, and especially young, I say, you know what? You have to plan for things to go wrong. You have to plan for downturns in your business. So luckily, I was taught that, 7, 8, 10, 15 years ago. So we were ready to deal with the downturn and deal with some of the challenges. That doesn't mean they weren't challenges, and doesn't mean hard decisions didn't have to be made. But we were ready. We're still here. We're fighting, and we're just now getting started.
What's some do's and don'ts as far as starting your own business?
First thing, don't mess your credit up when you're young. That's the big thing, because credit allows you to go out and get capital to finance your ideas. The second thing is save your money, right? Because you can have a great idea, but if you don't have the money and the finances to develop that idea, then all it is just an idea. Third thing is you gotta be willing to work hard. People only see and pay attention to the success afterwards. What they don't see and what they don't pay attention to, and what I think they don't really value, is all of the hard work that it takes to get to that success. I tell folks all the time, I literally started my firm with a laptop, a printer, and I rented an office, really a room and a half, from an old white lawyer for $335 a month. I cut the grass at my second office. I cleaned the bathroom. I mopped the floors. Okay. I did all of that. One step at a time, one step at a time. Patience, save your money, good work, be willing to work hard, and don't mess your credit up.
Yeah, because I can say that, I'm kind of in the process of rebuilding my credit. I just turned 30, but I was spending a lot in my 20s, man. I wasn't really doing the things that was going to help me out now. I didn't think about doing what's new in the Lou until 2 years ago, so now that I got something going, I realized the importance of, having good credit, what I'm saying, and why I should have been on my credit, in years past, but I think it was just a learning lesson for me, my 20s.
Well, they say, everybody's got their own path, and they have to learn some things. And it's an old Chinese proverb says the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. The next best time to plant a tree is today. So the fact that you're working on it right now is all you can do, and it's the best thing you can do.
Did you deal with any like racism on your way towards your what we know of you now? Did you deal with any stuff like that? What's the challenge you had to overcome?
Well, I mean, this racism
everywhere,
everywhere in the United States, right? But obviously, when you're talking about small town Texas and the South, Texas and Louisiana, where I spent most of my youth, there's always going to be some of that. But you know what? I don't focus on it. I didn't focus on it then, and I don't focus on it now. But there are those challenges. But that's the thing I tell folks, especially young people. The world is not always going to treat you fairly. And you have to be prepared to still create successful opportunities for yourself, even when the world does not treat you fairly. Whether they don't treat you fairly because you're black, whether they don't treat you fairly because you're young, whether they don't treat you fairly because you're male or female or poor or whatever. No one ever promised us that the world was going to treat us fairly. One thing my grandmother used to tell me, she used to say, Jesus was perfect, and look how they treated him. What makes you think that the world's supposed to treat you right all the time?
And then I want to know, man, who came up with the Record to a Check song? Like I need to know what's up with that, because I like that song. I hear it everywhere, every city I go to. You know what I'm saying? As far as the Illinois and, Texas,
It's actually a young man in Fort Worth, Texas, named Eric.
Okay.
We call him Ricky Rax. He probably says that on a commercial, right? Very talented young rapper. We had some mutual friends.
Okay, mutual friends.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that song.
And it was a great marriage, for lack of a better phrase, right? He had some creativity, and I needed some creativity. I loved giving him the opportunity, and he did well with the opportunity. I'm so pleased with it.
Like, say if I had an incident where somebody hit my car and they didn't have no insurance, so like, how would I go about that whole situation if I'm in a situation when somebody ain't got no insurance, they wreck my car real bad?
Well, that the first thing is what's called uninsured motorist coverage, right? So when you go to buy your insurance, and I tell folks this all the time, right? There's two things that you also need to buy when you go buy your automobile insurance. You need to make sure that your insurance provider is providing you, or at least giving you the opportunity to buy uninsured motorist coverage and underinsured motorist coverage, right? Uninsured motorist coverage is standard in Missouri. But uninsured motorist coverage deals with the idea of what you're just talking about, right? Someone hit and hurt me, and they didn't have insurance, right? And let's be real, that's the world that we live in. Not everybody's going to follow the law, and there's just going to be some people that don't have insurance. But if you've purchased uninsured motorist coverage, now you can make a claim against your own insurance policy for your injury, for your damages and other injuries, right? So, and the reality of it is, obviously in Missouri it's included, but in other states where I practice it's not included, and you have to pay a little bit extra for it, right? And it's not that much extra. And sometimes it's anywhere from, $10 to $15 to $25 a month. But it's worth it, because if you get hit by somebody with no insurance, then you can make that $25, $30, $40, $50,000 claim against your own insurance company, right? Now, the other thing that we need to make sure we get that is not standard really in any states that I practice is underinsured motorist coverage. And that deals with the idea of if someone hits and hurts you in an automobile accident, and they don't have enough insurance to cover all of your damages. So, for example, if you've got $100,000 worth of damages, but they've only got $50,000 worth of insurance, right? So we can go out and collect that $50,000 from insurance from them, but you're still $50,000 in the hole, right?
Yeah.
But if you purchased underinsured motorist coverage, we can go out and collect that other $50,000 under your insurance policy. And again, that's one of those examples where it only costs you another $5, $10, $15 a month to have that additional coverage. And you see, in that situation, I can turn that wreck into two checks.
Two checks, for sure.
One from your insurance company and one from the insurance company of the guy that hit you.
For real. Now, I've been in a situation before where I had people hit my car and ran. Like what can I do about a situation like that where they done drove off? I can't.
That's classic uninsured motorist coverage. All hit and runs are typically covered under your uninsured motorist provision.
Okay. Yeah, because I haven't had that many accidents. I haven't had no accident really, probably over I would say close to 10 years. So that's why I wanted to ask you what I'm supposed to do when I'm in that situation.
Check your insurance policy right now and make sure you have. If you got a Missouri policy, then you obviously have uninsured motorist coverage. But also go out and check and make sure you have underinsured motorist coverage.
Now, what's the difference between full-time coverage and just liability? You know what I'm saying? For people out there that's new to driving, you a teenager, you just getting your first car or something like that.
Well, liability typically deals with coverage to cover anybody that I hurt, as opposed to full coverage is really an odd term that we've used in our community for so long. It means so many different things to different people, but liability deals with insurance coverage for anybody that I hurt. Full coverage typically deals with a property damage scenario, in the sense that if I happen to run my car into a telephone pole, if I have full coverage, my insurance company will fix my car or repair my car or things of that nature. So that's typically what full coverage means.
You a full-time car attorney now, right?
Yeah, that's 95% of what I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Accident injury attorney is what
Accident injury, okay.
Yeah. Injury cases aren't always that high profile, right? In the sense that, because somebody ran a red light, or a drunk driver ran a red light, or things of that nature, and hit and hurt somebody, they'll show up on the news, but they don't continually show up on the news over and over, right? So for me, it's not about high profile. It's about helping people. And that's the only things that matter.
Now I see that you a big Cowboys fan, right?
Everybody from Texas is a Cowboys fan.
Okay, so that is true. pretty much. Everybody a fan down there.
Well, we have a lot of fans. We have a lot of fans worldwide. That's why they call us America's team.
Uh-huh. How they doing this year? They about what, 7-4 this year, something like that.
We've had a bad run over the last 2 or 3 weeks, but I think we'll pull it out in the end.
Okay. Now you real heavy in the community. So like, what's some things you do as far as like just giving back to the community? I know you give back as far as helping out your clients and everything. You do need like fundraisers, charities, drives like that.
I donate to the United Negro College Fund. That's one of
Okay.
the big things that I make a point to do every year. Obviously, before the Corona pandemic, we used to have turkey giveaways around Thanksgiving, things of that nature. But the biggest thing I think that I like to do that I don't think people really wrap their minds around is that, one, I want to go out and hire young African Americans.
Yeah, I was just getting to that point. Yeah.
That is the biggest community. That is the biggest give back to the community I think any African American entrepreneur can do. That is, give young African Americans the opportunity to see what you do and make a living. So to me, I call that community service, and I don't hire them because of it's a community service. I hire it because it's my responsibility to teach, and I want to show them. Obviously, I'm a businessman. I want to make money, but I also want to show them that there are other things for us besides being rappers and sports figures and things of that nature.
I didn't know what a law attorney was, but I knew who Michael Jordan was, though. You know what I'm saying, at a young age. You know what I'm saying?
And that's a sad it's a sad commentary. And don't get me wrong, I think sports are great. I played football and basketball in high school and all through growing up. I even played basketball in college. But I think we have to start helping our young African Americans realize that there's more out there for them than just playing football, basketball, or being some sort of entertainer or singer or dancer or rapper. Because let's be real, you have 55 boys on a football team. Only 2 or 3 of them are going to get scholarships to play in college. You have 80 young men on a college football team. Only 2 or 3 of them are going to get a chance to play in the NFL. And those 2 or 3 that play in the NFL are only going to play for 3 to 5 years.
Right, probably not even that long.
Those are bad odds when we're allowing so many young African Americans to believe that I'm going to be in the NFL or I'm going to be in the NBA. The math just makes no sense.
And then one thing I look at too, especially with a lot of the new artists, because with the Texas area, man, it's flooded with rap musicians, but these careers don't seem like they last long, like you be hot one day and then we forget about you tomorrow, and then or you hot today and then we hear about you getting arrested tomorrow, it seems like there's a lot of artists going to jail more than ever now or dying more than ever,
There's a lot of competition in the music industry. There's a ton of talented people, but there's a ton of competition as well. And I just believe that African Americans need to have multiple streams of income, or at least have multiple possible streams of income, right? So if you want to be a rapper, there's nothing wrong with attempting to try and be a rapper, but also go to college.
Yeah.
So that if your rap career does not pan out, you also have a business degree that will help you if your rap career doesn't pan out, and it will also help you if your rap career does pan out, because you'll understand the business of rap music or the business of entertainment as well.
Have you gotten into being an entertainment lawyer?
I have not. It's not something that I've ever really had much of an interest in, and I try and keep my practice not small in the sense of the number of people I help, but directed in the sense that I only want to do 1 or 2 things. That way I can do a great job at 1 or 2 things, as opposed to doing a not great job at 10 or 15 things.
Now, what you got to say to those people that say that, who needs college? You know what I'm saying? I don't need college,
College is about education. And it's not just about getting a job, okay? Sometimes in college, you learn how to interact with people. You learn about things you don't want to do, but education and knowledge is always valuable. No matter what you want to do, education and knowledge will always be valuable to you. And it opens doors.
And when you say open doors, what kind of doors, it can open up, as far as like people out there that's listening to this interview that want to get inspired by what you're saying.
Well, it opens up opportunities for you, right? The one, you're also, while you're in college, you're interacting with other people that are upwardly mobile and will soon be running the world. So you're building relationships and you're developing a knowledge base. And then you turn around and 3, 4, 5, 10 years later, when you go to apply for a job, having a college degree is a very valuable tool in getting your resume actually looked at.
Now, do you plan on starting any more law firms in different cities?
I'm almost 50 years old. I think I'm gonna keep what I have.
You got any children that's following your path?
I hope. I have 3 children. I hope. We'll see.
Okay. That's great, man. I just want to say that it was an honor to interview you, to even be in your presence. I was a little nervous at first, man, because I got to come with it, man, but you started to make me feel comfortable as we got through the interview, and I definitely want to keep seeing you doing your thing, keep motivating the youth, keep motivating our community, and yeah, it was an honor, like I said, man.
Well, I appreciate you having me. I'm so excited to see your development over the next few years.